Washington, originally David Hill, an ex-con from the House of Israel. And of course we know the link of Jim Jones' basketball hit squad teams and the women and supplying sex for the officials of Guyana, and it seems that Jim Jones could be very useful in elections coming up if the whole thing hadn't been exposed a year ago. This press release said that Wednesday, July the 11th at daybreak, there were burnings in Georgetown, Guyana, which involved the death of one individual, and there were papers burned from the government, from their headquarters, like a Reichstag fire, which housed the national election records. Well, it could be that they wanted the election records destroyed and then could blame the left at the same time because they may not want an investigation, if it ever comes through, of the Jonestown story. I heard Miss Spears, Jackie Spears, who was shot at the airfield, the aide for Leo Ryan, say that the FBI has destroyed all of their papers on Jonestown. She was pleading for an opening up of the case and said that the FBI has destroyed their papers. So the national election records of Burnham's party were destroyed, and then after that fire, the scholars of international reputation, according to this press release, were arrested and detained. One was a Maurice Odell, director of the Institute for Development Studies at Guyana. Another is a lecturer, Walter Rodney, internationally renowned Africanist, a scholar and lecturer, and they've been arrested, a man named Omawale and Rup Nareen, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Those four were charged with arson, and there were demonstrations of the Working People's Alliance. And what happened was that Israel, the House of Israel cult, came in and as a counter-demonstration and began to beat up people, and they had the Guyanese police force and bayonets against peaceful demonstrators, and his father, Bernard Drake, a Jesuit priest and author, was shot and died a few days later, and 11 others were injured. They had the goon squads and bayonets and so forth. Now, the violence has to do with this religious cult that is supporting Burnham, who was put in by the CIA. This is an ex-con, and he came out of Cleveland, Ohio, and he went first to Algeria, and then he settled down in Guyana. The House of Israel is the name of the group, like Jim Jones' People's Temple, and that they do the dirty work and the goon squad work for Forbes Burnham, who's been in power. And according to this press release, he had a minority power with election manipulations in the first place, so you can see why he burned his election records from before and then could blame the organizers down there. There's been strikes in the bauxite mines, and Mr. Burnham is representing the American corporations that dig the bauxite out. There's American money, there's German money, and there's British money in Jonestown, not Jonestown.
About George Jackson, that when they isolate him, that only way
don't you dirty the name of George Jackson. Yeah. Don't you dirty the name of George Jackson. If George Jackson had this movement, he'd be alive. Don't you dirty his name. You're not worthy of his goddamn name. Don't you speak his name, you prick. Don't you mention it, because this organization would have saved George Jackson. It's pricks like you that sold him down the river that caused him to be dead. You're not a George Jackson. You're a punk. You goddamn miserable punks. You gangsters that want to identify with George Jackson. And if he'd had some of you miserable punks working with him, he wouldn't have been killed by the pigs. If he'd had this organization, he talked about it. You haven't read his books. He talked about this kind of organization we have. You miserable goddamn punk. Don't you ever dirty his name again until you can learn to cooperate and follow rules, you miserable punk.
And he said, like, only way you can survive, like, you be in a box. And if you take off your clothes, keep on putting them back on, you never, lose your head, nothing like that. And he think he's going to survive in the box.
No, he great punk. Then put him in the fucking box with the frog tonight. Then see if you can stay away from the frog. One touch of the fucking frog. How about that, Willie boy? Big old ganglang Willie boy. How about going in the box tonight with the frog?
Dad,
how about the frog?
Truthfully,
why don't you get the frog? Why don't you put your hand in there with the frog?
Dad.
Come on, Willie boy. Put your hand in there. Put your hand in there. Willie boy. Put your hand in there. Put your hand in there, Willie boy. We might as well be free from you. Nobody else see it. Nobody else see it.
Thank you, Billy. I told you to, right?
Dad, when you're talking about being a crazy...
Got no problem. It's your problem. You touch a frog, you're dead.
You can take anything you said.
You take anything. How about Willie? How about it, Willie? Want to touch frog tonight, Willie? You punk, you goddamn gangland punk. You've caused us trouble week after week, month after month. Got my blood pressure boiling, punk. Ah, see, he's tough. He's tough. He can handle anything. Handle his frog, Willie.
I know I can, Dad.
Handle it, pup. To open up and take it.
When Dad was talking about being a crazy nigger, that the only way you can win is to be a crazy nigger, Willie started saying, Dad, you were talking about being a crazy nigger, and that's the only way you can win. And Willie started saying, that's right. Right, like the only way he was going to win by being a crazy nigger.
You want to die, do you, Willie? I don't give a shit tonight. Want to die, Willie?
No, I don't, Dad, but I'm not afraid to.
What's that?
I don't want to die, but I ain't afraid to.
Well, then go ahead and die.
I don't want to.
Huh?
I don't want to.
You're big tough. Hold it. Let's think it through. Let the son of a bitch jump out.
Dad,
What about it?
Dad, you know, like I said, I don't want to. You know, I said that I was just pissed at the time. I mean, I didn't say it was your fault. I mean, at first I tried to hold it against you that how come I didn't get off the crew, but I didn't feel it was your fault. I felt it was pinning them because they didn't give you the right information. And
No. Last rally. No, it's no 2 days, Willie. It's your whole attitude, and you don't never exhibit a good attitude.
You're not afraid to die. You're not afraid to die, and you're not standing for anything. I'd be ashamed to die if I were you. Defying an organization for socialism, I'd be ashamed to die.
Dad,
Quit talking.
What reason we got to think you won't change? I don't think you will change where you're going.
Dad, if it was some other way, you know, I feel that everybody's up here, you know, hitting. I mean, I'd rather let some senior that has some pain, not Sebastian and the rest of these guys. I mean, no. I mean, I know you're gonna kick my ass, but you know.
Yeah, well, you don't know that any other time. You're so
one at a time. You're talking about our pain. You're talking about our seniors' pain. If you were talking about our seniors' pain, you wouldn't be up here keeping them up at 1 o'clock in the morning. You want the seniors? You want the seniors?
Dad, really?
John, get out of the way. Let the seniors have it.
Come on, Willie. So tough now.
All right. You want some more of the seniors?
No, I appreciate better than these rest of these guys.
You want to keep being smart ass, huh? You want to keep being smart ass? I have put those people in charge, motherfucker! You goddamn prick! I'm the one that put that in there.
fucking punk. We ain't fucking up all the time like you, so don't you come across like we ain't shit, you goddamn son of a bitch.
Back up here now, George. Back up here, George. I mean, Stephen. Back up here. Back up now, hold it. You always want to say you're so tough. And you always want to look like you're right. I put those people in charge, so you're now better than they are. You're better than me. You don't think they should be entitled to beat on you. They can beat on everybody else's ass, but they're not supposed to beat on you because Willie Boy doesn't like for them to do it.
Listen, Willie. God damn it. What I don't fucking understand, instead of you competing with us, instead of getting on our fucking side, right? You're tough, right? So why don't you get on our goddamn side and help us fight? Huh? You're so
like you killed George Jackson. Don't you think you ought to make up for it?
Yes, Dad. I didn't say I was trying to be like George Jackson.
You didn't have to say you don't like him. You quoted him. You quoted him, and you're not worthy of quoting him.
Do you want to be like him? That ain't the question. Do you want to be like him?
You know, I know what I really want to be like, but I know I ain't gonna never be there. It's like that, so you know.
Well, that ain't like you said it, man, fucker. Hey, Dad can kick the shit out of any fucking one of us, and as many at a time as he wants. And you don't see him walking around doing it, so tell me you want to be like him, all right?
He's lying. This morning I asked him the very same goddamn question, and he said he wanted to be like Che Guevara.
Saying a
And also, when we try to explain to him that he should try to follow Father's example, he said, I couldn't do that in 1,000 lifetimes.
Look, Willie, I remember well what you said about Father a few months ago. Father bleeds, Father bleeds, Father bleeds. And I remember what you said yesterday morning. You said, Father, you're hostile against Father and against me. Don't, look, all your words of manipulation don't convince me one bit. You're a goddamn liar.
And also this morning when Mother was talking to him, it was nothing but just pure hostility on his face. He had nothing but a glare in his eyes.
Hold it.
After they've checked you.
Y'all back up a minute. Y'all back up a minute. Damn, back up. Y'all back up. What?
All right.
Shut up.
Killed by the fucking gang. That's what we should have done.
Yeah, he was tough.
They was chasing his ass. That's the only reason he's here, cause you got him, cause they were chasing his ass down Los Angeles Street. He couldn't go around the corner, and now we can't go home cause his dumb ass.
That's true.
Where's my glasses?
Why is it this way you do this? I save you from worse than death. The Los Angeles police don't make it easy. Why you do this, Willie?
I mean,
I'm tired of these punks. No, you're not to be talked to. You're not to talk. You're on absolute strict silence. Your toughness is not doing anything but causing us difficulty. It's not helping the George Jacksons. This kind of independent toughness has killed them since the world began. By using your toughness against the organization. But you can't defeat the organization.
That's right.
You don't want to die? If you do want to die, why in the hell don't you just take the goddamn frog?
Guyana, in the country of Guyana. And of course, the CIA had Matthews Ridge, a station right next to Jonestown, and Jonestown was straight CIA. The United States supported Burnham in the 1964 elections. The military took over in Brazil in 1964, right after John Kennedy was killed. A lot of governments changed hands. And this press release from LA that you can order a copy of talks about Forbes Burnham and how he came to power through the CIA, defeated Chetty Jagan, and the CIA had kicked him out. Now, with demonstrations and strikes, they are bringing in one of these cults that is useful for the government. United States ex-convict down there beating up people who are organizing for better wages and so forth. And that is the use of these cults. They can get them on a leash because if they send him home, he'd have to go to jail. So they get this Rabbi Washington down there beating people up. I have an article from Caribbean Contact which talks about Burnham. Burnham declares war on his opponents because of the Reichstag fire and so forth, and the burning of 2 government buildings. He has said that you have awakened a sleeping giant who will not sleep anymore. His enemies are to be crushed and utterly destroyed. And because of the strikes in the bauxite mines and the strikers, and then the fire in that building, that gives Burnham the chance to bayonet and crush people or kill them to stop any organizing for better wages in that area. So you see the use of the cults in these countries that were American, that are working to keep the American interest going, sending the former ex-cons with the guns and bayonets and killing the workers and organizers in South America. Instead of sending troops down there to overthrow the governor to keep Burnham in. We send religious cults that are like Synanon and People's Temple and this House of Israel, and they do the dirty work for the United States, and a lot of them are made up of ex-cons and people with police records and known cases of violence. One of the top officials of Guyana was in the United States recently, and he was on KGO radio talking about Guyana. He explained his education in Trinidad, British universities in Boston. He's the second in command under Burnham down there. I forget his name. I didn't write down the name. His name came up at the time of Jonestown, but I don't have it here. I'll have to put on the next tape and look this up. The question came up on KGO radio asking if Guyana is backward because Mark Lane was saying that Jim Jones educated the people down there and took them into Jonestown, and they had the best clinic, and people from all over South America came to Jim Jones for medical care and education. And this person was saying that Guyana is number one in telecommunications in the entire South America, and that's pretty big considering the towers of Brazil and Argentina and how they couldn't get anybody into the little part of Jonestown for 4 days to remove the bodies, even though the president knew within 1 hour of the killings who was killed at the airport and how, and the CIA was in touch with him within 1 hour. He talked about the radio communications. He said that 80% of the bauxite goes to the United States, that they have uranium, and that they have education. They're the best free education system in all of South America and the best schools. Everybody is educated, and this was the second in command under Burnham, and it contradicts what Mark Lane said about the natives having to go to Jim Jones for education. There's forests, there's fish and shrimps, and he said West Germany is developing the uranium in Guyana and the bauxite. I keep referring to it as Jonestown. I'm talking about the whole area of Guyana. The bauxite, 80% the United States gets from them, so the United States and Germany have uranium from there, and they do have communications. And I also know that Georgetown is the headquarters of the largest airport. I've mentioned it on the...
No, I'm not.
You just said no when they told you to put your hand in it. You said no. Everybody else missed it. I didn't miss it.
I didn't miss it. He don't want to die. That give him too much pleasure keeping us where we going, keeping Dad all shook up. We don't want to die. That give him too much fucking satisfaction to stay around here and bug us.
So you're not afraid of dying, huh?
No, Dad.
Oh, why don't you take the frog then?
I'll take it.
And what are you going to prove with that, big man?
I mean,
punk.
See,
what are you going to prove by taking a frog and dying tonight?
See, like, I mean,
the frog, is he a capitalist? Is the fucking frog a capitalist?
no.
You silly ass fool. You think that being brave is an end in itself. It means not shit worth nothing unless it's connected with socialism. And you haven't got it connected with socialism. It's just Willie Malone against the world. Gangland Willie. So you're going to be tough and take the frog. At least you'll be out of our hair. You want to take the frog?
Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm sick of it. I said, do you want to take it?
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't want to take it, but...
Well, you goddamn better quit, because I'm tired of this. Because a frog, you know, if you take the goddamn frog, ain't nothing in the world stops. Anybody in the world can pick up a frog wants to take a fucking frog. That's no problem. We haven't committed any crime at all.
Whose side are you on, man? Whose side are you on?
Answer Stephen's question.
You answer. I'm on Dad's side.
Okay,
Well, then stay on there.
Whose side am I on?
Dad.
Why the fuck you fighting with us?
Yeah, don't make sense.
He just doesn't want to learn anything. He doesn't want to work hard. Work the hell out of it.
I don't think the problem is his work. The problem
It's not. It's not.
His whole value system.
He could have made a tremendous socialist. He could make one if he'd stop this belligerent shit of defending your own ego. You're worried about how you look more than how socialism looks. You're not worried about how socialism looks. You're worried about how Willie looks.
That's true, Dad.
You'll be one of the best if you can now cultivate How does socialism look? What the fuck if you were given a false report? How many false reports have I had on me? They put me in the goddamn television, on the newspaper headlines. People I've healed and got out of jail. Saved their goddamn life. Healed them of cancer. And a son of a bitch is, listen to me, Willie. How many false reports have been told on Father?
Millions, Dad.
Tell the truth. Do you feel bad about that? The truth.
Yes.
Why don't you act like it?
I don't give me no more trouble. Show me that you could make up for this. If you, a tough guy, could show me that you could be a nice guy, it'd make up for the hellish blood pressure tonight that's just making me sick as a dog.
And not just in your
Can you go back to your seat and do this?
Yes, Dad.
Listen, Willie. Not just your work. You already proved you can work. The way you talk to people. All right?
You know that people got to give rules and authority, and they're not going to do it perfectly. They're not perfect. You weren't perfect when you were doing it. So get back there and act like you can be on the team. Get on the right end of the team.
You know the whole reason the gangs didn't make it in the goddamn States is because they was proving themselves to each other, right? And you were killing each other off, right? Why don't you try to do something?
You can take 50 men if you'll get your ass together.
That's the fucking truth. You got something to fight for then, not just Willie.
Because they came here tonight, Willie, after you, my ass would be the one they'd have to take. And you ought not to put me through this. Just like it was in Los Angeles, it was my ass that got you out of there. So you think about Father's ass, and every time you cause trouble with somebody, I don't care how much you may think you've been wrong, you're causing trouble for me.
Yes, Dad.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Veenie Thompson, I don't know what to do with this kind of bullshit. First night she was hostile and said she didn't do anything to get on. In the morning she said that man, Pastor Jones, said I only had to stay one night. She said that man, Pastor Jones, said I only had to stay one night. She said that all the people who reported Garnett to council in L.A. were liars, nasty, bad attitude. Talks back continuously, says she has arthritis, aches, and is cold, can't do this or that. Elsie Bell got mad and yelled at her. She called Dad, Pastor Jones, again today. Complained throughout the whole day. Why don't you get your damn nasty ass together?
Well, Father, I apologize with you, but not too long ago, and I've tried my best not to say it. It said Father, and we had a meeting. You said, Veenie, you can say Pastor Jones. You remember David was having a meeting here at the church?
But no, we had a law that just reversed all that. Nobody called me Pastor Jones. No, you haven't been listening, Veenie. That's a long time back. We said it was all, everybody said it was Dad or our Father. There was no in-betweens.
But they were having, when the man gonna come.
I don't give a shit what was said back there. Since then, we've changed the rules.
They changed the rules.
That's got nothing to do with all this bullshit behavior.
It's hard to say.
I am not. You said all the people that reported Garnett were liars. No wonder Garnett has trouble. Nasty attitude. You kept. Oh shit. They want to answer this kind of shit, and I know what the answer is. Put him in a bed with a frog.
I think this is just bullshit that you pulling. You need to do what you told, and I told you last night to do what you told, and keep your mouth shut. You're not gonna get off the crew. So I think she should be sent to the box. Cause she.
Okay. Are you gonna get your ass together and get the shit? Now you gotta stay on there till you do. You can't be nasty. You can't be smart ass. You can't say that L.A. counselors lied on Garnett. He isn't saying so. Did they lie on you, Garnett?
No.
No. Tell her what? The L.A. counselors what?
L.A. counselor. Every time I went to council, it was my own fault. I was the one that was fucking up. No one was blaming anything on me or nothing. So I don't know where you got that shit from. You always uphold me and everything I did bad. You always uphold me in it.
Because she wants you to uphold her and her bad.
True, that's true, Dad.
And she got fucked over now. You'll see how it work. If you people where your mothers and grandmothers have indulged you, if you turn on them, you see how much they really, and you tell them and make them line up and show them their faults, you'll see how much they uphold you. It's just a cover, CYA, cover your ass.
Jonestown tapes for all of South America, and that's where the CIA sends their troops because they're not visible, our mercenaries, over to Angola and Africa by way of the airport in Guyana, and in exchange we keep Burnham in and he takes care of us, and that's a very important location for the Condor operation, for the mind control, and for the South American hit teams, because Jonestown was a very quiet, isolated place where they worked with the CIA. Another article this last week or so about the cult money moved from the Swiss banks. Now the money was moved from Bern, Switzerland, down to Panama, and they have millions of dollars, excess of 10 million. Most of the funds in Panama City with branches of Swiss Bank Corporation, Union Bank of Switzerland, and they say a minimum excess of 10 million, but it could go as high as 26 million. That's still floating around. Charles McCabe in the San Francisco Chronicle had an article about Charles Gary and Mark Lane. He said Charles Gary squarely blamed the mass suicides on Mark Lane, who spent the night with him in the bushes following the slaughter. The person responsible was the catalyst. He may not be legally responsible, but he is morally responsible. Mark Lane is responsible for the 900 deaths. What McCabe asked in the article is, what I want to know about Charles Gary's latest outburst is, when did he realize that Mark Lane was morally responsible for the deaths? Before they happened? When they happened? During the night they spent in the forest? Because he was last week addressing the bar convention in Los Angeles. And if he realized that, Charles McCabe is saying, why are there no laws to punish people who are morally responsible for the death of over 900 people? His solution would be to put Charles Gary and Mark Lane in a room together and bind off their mouths so they couldn't talk, these two aberrations, he calls them. And he says that if you tape their mouths and put them in a room together for 6 months, that would be sufficient punishment, because they just couldn't exist if they couldn't open their mouths and had to look at each other for 6 months. He suggested that was the best way to handle these two lawyers. A lawsuit was planned, has been filed in San Francisco against Congressman Ryan's estate on the basis that they had knowledge of violence down there and crazy things going on, and went down and endangered particular people. And this lawsuit is a huge multi-million-dollar lawsuit, and it goes to all of the defendants, the money that's tied up in the Ryan estate, in the Jones temples, the family of the Laytons, and it goes into various people's temples. Attorneys, mentions Mark Lane, he's a defendant. The city and county of Los Angeles for letting this happen. His police records down there, the Department of Social Services giving him these small children and boys when he had arrest records for molesting and different charges brought that were always dropped, and the Attorney General's office that allowed this to happen even though there were complaints. And the attorney who filed this, his name is Robert Bokelman, and he claims that Ryan went down there knowing about these dangers. He has a niece who died in Guyana, and then he's filed this suit on behalf of several survivors, Monica Bagby, James Bogue, Thomas Bogue, and Tina Turner, not the singer, and Juanita Bogue of Washington. He is representing these people on the basis that there is a lot more that hasn't been told. It's a year, he lost a niece, and he wants to know. I contacted this attorney. He's been in touch with me. He's ordered all my tapes on Jonestown and the outlines of the Los Angeles police I did on a tape, and the CIA and the FBI and the mind control.
Mama, you used to call the gun. That was like he was one night. He told you, you say, you're not helping me at all, so you ought to talk against me sometime and not talk up for me. And I couldn't help but cry because he was telling the truth.
Are you going to get on that ass and straighten up? Are you going to straighten up, Beanie?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay, well, get on that, or get on that learning and straighten up. And all you seniors quit thinking your nasty-ass attitude is going to keep you off learning. She's been going on the 3rd day now. Now, take note, some of you contrary ones that think that your age is going to keep you off. Barbara Walker. Yeah, that's it. She's in the box. Jared Baker reported Vincent for trying to get Penny back on learning. What's that? What you talking about? It's Lopez back on scrub board. Is checking throughout the days with Joe Beam, who's writing up daily reports on Vincent. Vincent refused to tell Penny. Second time she asked what Willie Malone told him yesterday about taking one person at a time. Vincent has been kiss-assing up to Penny and other supervisors to look good, but bragging to Jared that he is manipulating Penny, and he asked Jared if he wanted Penny back on the learning crew. Oh shit!
Dad, when me and Jared was scrubbing clothes back there, me and Jared was talking about. Jared was telling me how he wanted to get off. He was gonna write you a letter and tell you this and stuff. He said, and we was both talking negative about Penny, and so like I was doing real good with Penny and everything, and you know, when every little thing someone did, she'd try to get me to write him up, and you know, now that I'm messing up, she's getting Jared. You know, it's just the thing that she's doing. You know, she's real paranoid and everything.
Okay, tell me this, my young man. Also reported that when he was very sick, Tom Partek, who's changing his name to Tom Smith, who doesn't want to go back to the States now, never wants to go back, he said. That's a breakthrough for him. He was sick and diseased with it. Why did you ask him if he hated Dad? Tom thinks he was pumping him to try to get something on him. Tom was very happy with Cleve. Doesn't want to go back to the United States at all now. Wants to change his name to Tom Smith. Why?
That was a long time ago when we was in the bush, Dad. When he asked me, he said, since you always get in trouble, he said, let me ask you this question. He said, if I keep on doing this and saying I want to go back, what do you think they'll do to me? And we was talking. I asked him, I said, I said, you hate Dad, huh? And he said, and he didn't answer me. And I said, why don't you just come on and answer me? And he wouldn't answer me.
How long ago was this?
This was around, I don't remember, it was a while back when I was in the bush with Ron.
How long ago was this, Tom?
It was at least a month.
What in the hell are we dragging something up a month?
Load it up. I didn't know when it was, Dad. I'm sorry.
Oh, you did too.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You must, God damn it, you must have known it was, you had to know that. If he told you. When did he tell you?
He told me today, Dad.
Oh, he told you today.
Told me today, Dad. Tom told me today.
See, this is what I feel. She go like when she's scared of me. You know, she thinks I can intimidate her and everything. So you know, like one time, like I was doing good, and she said, well, Vincent, she said, like Tom said I could criticize.
You know you're another Willie Malone, though. If you get on our side, goddammit, you could help the George Jacksons, and the Che Guevaras, who you look like.
Did you say you could manipulate Penny?
Yes, Mother, I said that.
He also said, Vincent was telling me, every time he gets his way out of a situation, I was saying, Vincent, what are you going to do when you get off of Penny's crew? And I said, you're going to be right back in the same trouble. You fooling everybody, you're just cheating yourself. And when you get off Penny, you're just going to do something wrong and come back again. He said, no, I can fool people, Jera. I won't get caught this time. And that's
one thing he can't do because he gets caught all the time.
Dad, when we was back, that's
work, because Jackie Spears also said on the radio that there were mind control experiments down there, and we know about the electrodes and so forth. So I will be assisting in this lawsuit, and this always makes me feel good when I can take the research and help people use this information, because they never could compile this much work. He never even dreamt anyone had this much on Jonestown. The suit was filed October the 4th in San Francisco, and I'm working with Robert J. Bolkeman right now. The California Attorney General, George Demekian, said, this was several weeks ago, that he dropped all evidence of District Attorney Freitas, Joe Freitas in San Francisco, winning the election because of voter frauds of the People's Temple records, and he said there's no evidence of fraud, and the reason there's no evidence is that Joe Freitas had the records destroyed. And being as the documents are destroyed, there's no documentary proof, but the person who was being investigated or the destruction of the records, that's similar to Earl Warren destroying the body of Lee Harvey Oswald, or Patrick Gray deep-sixing documents at the time of Watergate. The power structure is so flagrant that they just go ahead and say, okay, I'm investigated, we'll destroy all that, and then the Attorney General comes in, or the U.S. Attorney William Hunter, and said, well, we can't find anything linking the votes from Los Angeles up to San Francisco or up north, further up north, back down to San Francisco, that the district attorney Joe Freitas was best friends with Timothy Stone, who was one of the directors and members of People's Temple, and he also worked in the Joe Freitas' office in San Francisco. But being as all that material has been destroyed, there's nothing fraudulent anymore about the elections that took place in San Francisco. Incidentally, that notorious Charles Gary, who I've accused with Mark Lane of being a counter-intelligence lawyer all along for a long time, is now representing Bill Walton. Bill Walton is the basketball player here on the West Coast who gets $1 million a year for 5 years with the San Diego Clippers. And Charles Gary of People's Temple is the attorney for Bill Walton. For those of you who haven't read my article, the SLA is the CIA, and you should read it if you don't have it. Bill Walton was a close friend of Mickey and Jack Scott, who worked for Time magazine, who are journalists and had their own...
That's true. I did say that, but he was talking negative to me too, and about... Okay, that's
so what
true,
was he
true.
saying? What was he saying?
He said we was just both wrong. We shouldn't have been talking negative.
What was he saying? Now, don't talk about sellout. It's not sellout, and you're shutting up because you're looking at your elder brother. Now, it is proper to tell in a communist society what is wrong, whatever your motivation.
The only reason I said it because they both do this shit. I could see it if it was somebody that, that was at least trying to toe the line. But these fuckers will talk negative, and he'll turn Vincent in to try to get off the crew, and he'll do vice versa. Well, shut up.
I want to hear what he said.
Like he said at one time, I said, man, we're going to have to get some extra chicken. He said, yeah, that's true, because, it ain't equal. Like, one time I went up there, I didn't get nothing but a small piece. He said that when they passed out chicken, he said it ain't equal. I said, well, and then, so that was over with. And then he said, he was just talking about, Penny's just using me, because I was writing Jer up. She had me writing Jer up, and he was trying to get me to stop writing them. He said, well, she's just using you and stuff. So,
That's not true, Dad. What happened was I wrote you a note. I was asking you could I move out of dorm 1 because I felt.
Oh, goddamn! There's such much better things to be doing than this shit. This is outrageous. I can't believe I've been doing this all my goddamn miserable life. I gave up $7.5 million to set in this shit. Called a gangster all over the goddamn country, and I'd been hailed if I'd give in to him.
He did say that, Dad, and I was wrong. I shouldn't have been talking negative to him, and like one day I had been doing good for around 3 or 4 days, and Tom said I could criticize Penny, and so I did, and she said she got all upset. She said you're just trying to intimidate. I said no, I'm not. I'm just just trying to tell you how I feel. She said, well, I don't care if you're doing good for 3 days. She said I'll put you on the scrub board. And I went and told Tom, and she got scared. I knew she did. And she said, well, let's just talk about our problems. After I told Tom, she said, let's just talk about our problems and relate to each other. Like she like when we was up at the tent yesterday, I was writing a letter to you about
Jesus Christ. Can somebody put an end to this?
All right.
I'm sick of this. I'm sick of it. I'm sick tonight of it. I'm sick of it. I've suffered all night long, and there's no mercy in this place.
That's right. You stay on the crew. I don't care how long you stay on the crew, because I talked to your ass, and you still did the same shit with Jared, talking negative and shit. Penny, maybe you ought to work on your shit, because God, you're bad as these guys half the time. You ask him why he's hostile, he tells you, then you come and talk to me because he told you why he was hostile. You just, God damn, you're like a fucking kid. You're the same manipulating son of a bitch I knew in the first fucking place, and you just cut it out and you stay on a goddamn crew too. It's ended. Excuse me. You sit down. Thank you. Salute me. I'll break your neck.
Now you goddamn miserable people in the pharmaceutical department, they got medicines I pay the cost thousands of dollars to bring it across the sea, and you won't take the goddamn medicines. Now you tell me why in the hell you didn't. Missed medications frequently, and today, Lena Benton, Gloria Griffith, Kathy Jackson, Margaret James 4 times, Tanisha Johnson, Billy Jones, 3 days, Johnny Jones, Fanny Jordan, Lydia Morgan, 2 days, Callie Mitchell, B. Orsa, Rose Peterson, Kay Nelson, Gloria Roses, has anemia and does not pick up iron 3 times a day. Beanie Thompson, Janice Warren, oh son of a bitch, Yvonne James, Leanne Amos, Jean Shakin, Elaine Backman, Renee McMurray. These people should be given a warning. There have been several announcements, several service times to not miss medications, because Dad spends thousands of dollars for our health care, and you are wasting money on people's lives by not taking medications as ordered.
I have never missed
The money-
medication. Y'all get a warning. That's it.
I get provided for you, and it costs like hell. Why do you people do this?
In my case, is laziness, Dad, and I'll take my medicine from this point out.
I'm supposed to miss 5 days. I'm supposed to miss my hormones 5 days, and that's why I've been off for 5 days.
You missed your medicine. You missed your medicine.
Say, I missed it.
I'll start taking my medicine too on time.
Thank you, Dan.
Kay Rose is doing fine on her job. Good attitude. Ollie says she does really well in the kitchen. That's good, Kay. We're very happy to get that piece of news. Shift, please. I can't see. I can't see.
Can't see.
I just can't see, that's all.
Somebody get up here.
Jack.
Larry, you can't see.
This is praises. Amelia Tardy on spare time work very hard to plant flowers in front of and back of dorm 3. Is helpful and cooperative on her job in the nursery. Novella Sneed, garlic crew supervisor, wants to praise her. Ethel Bell, garlic crew supervisor, wants to praise her also. L.V. McGinnis, praised for his good work and the janitorial staff. Georgia Cadney, very good worker. Leola Moorhead, very good worker. Mary Walker volunteered to help clean the tables. Irma Winfrey, doing very good job cleaning the tables. Mike Lunn, Ben Barnett, Ernest Jones, praised for the work they did in the aluminum house. Aaron Hendricks, Steve Jones, Al Touche, Clifford Gigg, Emma Griffith, Stan Gigg, Mark Cardell, Mike Lunn, Lou Jones, Johnny Jones, Lou Jones Jr., and Larry Jones. They offloaded, and David George, all helped unload the tractor at the aluminum warehouse. April Klingman has made a great improvement in her behavior.
Foundation. They picked up Patty Hearst and Emily William Harris after the shootout where the other 6 were burned alive in Los Angeles. They picked them up in Oakland and took them to Las Vegas, where Walter Scott, the brother of Jack Scott, was in military intelligence. He was a member of our intelligence community. They stayed at the parents' house. Then they drove Patty back east to Pennsylvania for the summer. Then they came out to California, where they were on the campus in Sacramento and going to school and doing their hanky-panky out in the California area before Patty Hearst was picked up. Mickey and Jack Scott were never arrested for harboring a criminal. Walter Scott went off to a mental hospital, and I don't even know if he's alive today. He was silenced, but they were never charged with taking Patty Hearst across the state lines when the FBI wanted her that whole summer. And they were best friends. They still are with Bill Walton. So that we have Charles Gary representing Bill Walton, and that's part of the SLA gang. And he also, of course, was the attorney for People's Temple. All one big CIA operation, but some of the members, or the fringe, are very rich, and one of the richest is Bill Walton, as getting $1 million a year with Charles Gary as his attorney. Gary, no matter what he's involved with, or Mark Lane, never get poor. They can always make money, and they seem to have some very rich clients, and this is one of the richest, I'm sure, for Charles Gary. There's a long article in the New York Times, October the 11th, 1979. Jonestown is peaceful now as Guyanese try to forget. They try to forget that 923 were killed as experimentations, and a congressman was killed there. And the article goes on that the government is still trying to get $4 million for bringing home those bodies that were decayed and rotten that they could have gotten within 12 hours if they wanted. That there's claims against the whole Jonestown operation so far of $1.78 billion, which we know is impossible. That the Guyanese capital has some trawlers of theirs that are worth $50,000. There's some trucks and cars. $3 million in 2 banks in Guyana, $7 million in Panama, more in Venezuela, Grenada, Nassau, $700,000 in the hands of Robert Fabian, the court-appointed receiver of the People's Temple in San Francisco. Then the article talks about Larry Layton, who hasn't yet been tried, as I said, and they describe him as the 32-year-old conscientious objector and former social worker. The social work is like that rabbi down there that I talked about, the goon squads, the hit squads, that conscientious objector killing the most liberal, or one of the most liberal members of the House of Representatives, being involved in the airport. They try to make it look, of course, as if the left was involved, the conscientious objector, the social worker. And Charles Beekman, a 42-year-old former Marine, is being held down in the Georgetown jail. They describe him as a shoemaker, a Marine and a shoemaker. He was supposed to have killed the children of Sharon Amos, and Sharon Amos, as I said before, it's been a year, and the trial is still not going on. You can imagine how busy the courts must be down there, that they haven't yet tried these 2 men, and it's been a year. The longer it goes, the more they lose their witnesses, and then they can drop the charges because there won't be anyone to prosecute them. There's a CIA psychiatrist that was from down there, Dr. Hardat Sukhdeo, Sukhdeo, and he has an article that the cult survivors are not crazy. People think they're crazy, and they're not. Most of them think of them as out of their head. He said they're very normal, intelligent men and women and mature adults, and he said they're getting useful jobs and that they're not mentally mixed up. What he's talking about is that the survivors were the people that set it up, this white Christian outer cult, the periphery that let the 923 die, and most of them were poor blacks experimented upon. Sure, these people were smart. They were out of the area, and they were able to get away, and they have their rockers, and the survivors managed very nicely. There was a lot of money out there for them, and it talks about the various survivors and their personalities and how some of them are doing very well. A few of them are depressed, and some are doing very well, but there isn't any doubt in my mind that the people that set up Jonestown and rented the property and did experimentations were plenty smart people. They were as smart as Adolf Hitler's team, and they almost conquered the world, and they're almost doing it again. They're not dumb, and they are survivors. They know how to get out and how to get money and psychiatrists and protection from the FBI and the CIA and the Pentagon, and nobody would say that those people that stayed alive were stupid.
Has no more fits and is cooperative at home. Tad Jensen attitude has improved, is cooperative with supervisors. Randy Cardell has shown great improvement, hardly throws fits anymore and is cooperative. Dante Carroll used to cry at the drop of a hat, but now he doesn't. Michael Felton doing well, is cooperative, hardly throws fits anymore. Lisa Winston did not cry today when she got her sores treated. Ronnie Behrman deserves praise. He has shown a lot of sensitivity and warmth towards the children. There are very few men that will become involved with early childhood education. Joanne Johnson, a very good house parent and teacher. Ollie Smith, very good with children, shown a lot of sensitivity to their needs. Willie Graham is a senior member of the preschool staff, and she never lets down. Mary Ford has done wonders with Raymond McKnight since she has become his house mother. Jess Smith earned the most stars for this week in elementary school. Sean Anderson earned the most stars for this week in class. Tyron Cartmel has made the most improvement in attitude and cooperation. Dad says that's amazing. And the last one, Ramondo Hicks, Tracy Part, Stephanie Sweeney worked very good at the Chicory on Sunday.
One thing bothers me, I hear Larry Jones is raises a real worker there, and I heard some of these people manipulate their children to beat hell, but Rita Lennon pointed out something that was bothering me, because he's very precious, and I hear he made a good work report. Rita was saying that he's unhappy over his brothers, what's going to happen to them. Larry, do you want to talk about this? Just because this bothers me. Are you happy here, son? Are you worried about anything?
He's coming? Well, let's come quickly, please.
In reference to the other question, there's been no issue Rita made over that. That's just nothing to even worry about. There's been no issue. One party may have made it, but I don't know anything else. What the hell's the difference anyway? Fuck the world. What, son, what is it that you're worrying about?
I ain't worried about it anymore after the last...
I'm not scolding you, darling. I'm just interested in you. Because Stephen likes you and he thinks that you're doing a good job. Seem happy?
Yeah.
But you don't go to... Don't you ever watch movies at all, honey?
Not really.
Don't you like them?
No, I just don't like to watch them.
But what is it about it you don't like to watch? It's okay. I'm just interested.
I usually get bored, so I just don't watch them.
Well, I agree with that. I do too. Did you like The Day of the Jackal?
Not really.
Why not?
Uh-huh.
Didn't you find that fascinating, him trying to go kill that dictator?
Yeah.
Did you watch it all the way through, or did you ever know? Did you watch it all the way through? Did you understand it?
Not really.
Do you do any reading, hon?
No. God damn.
You think that maybe that's why you get bored then? You don't understand some of the things that was happening. Was that it?
I think so. Yeah.
Tell me, what was the movie about? Day of Jackal.
I didn't understand it really.
You didn't at all? Well, it's a difficult plot. I wonder how many children didn't understand. How many children didn't understand Day of Jackal?
Come on, hold your hands up. How many people didn't understand the Day of the Jackal?
The teachers ought to be teaching them. You ought to be teaching them. Elementary? Elementary? They ought to be taught. They ought to be taught. That's a complicated movie. They ought to be told how to passport, how they forge a passport, and how identities. They lose it the first part of the movie. Did you see Children of the Dam, Larry?
Not the whole thing.
Why not, hon?
Because I didn't want to.
Why not?
Just want no reason.
Well, son, I believe you could have understood that. I believe you could if you'd looked at it. That showed young people. They were way advanced of adults, and they had all this concern for peace and justice. The only mistake they made was to kill themselves. They ought to use their power on the bastards around them. You ought to see that. You say you're happy here?
Yes.
You must have given your mother some impression that you're doing a lot of worrying.
The reason I came up with that, it's been some time since he's asked me, but he asked me if I thought his brothers would be coming, and he has made the statement that he was worried about them getting killed and about the two little children there. The reason I was concerned, he seemed awfully quiet, and I just didn't know if that was still going through.
Well, I'm not complaining about the observation you made. I think it's that's why I'm picking it out as one of the legitimate ones. Why are you quiet, son?
I don't know. I don't know if he's talking about being quiet.
Hmm? You don't know what she's talking about? Hmm?
No.
You teach him PE and he's not quiet, huh?
Maybe he's just quiet around me. I don't see him much, but if you ask him something, he just doesn't say much, or he'll come over if I'm working on letters and lay down and go to sleep, and that's just my observation when I'm around him. I haven't been around him that much, but I was just concerned that he was maybe keeping stuff inside or something.
I suspect he does to some degree, but if he knows he's doing it, you still prefer you'd prefer to be here whether they decided to come or not, would you?
Yes.
You like Stephen? He likes you?
Yes.
You feel is things working out for you fairly well?
Yeah.
If you don't like movies, then the end of the world not going to come on that. But I would try to understand some of them sometimes. And the teacher should tomorrow explain children of the damned and the day of the jackal, right? Okay, you can stand up.
Everybody stand. Come on, quick.